In section 5.1, the goal is to write equations of lines. In example 1, here we use slope and y-intercept to write an equation. Here they want us to write an equation of the line with a slope of -4 and a y-intercept of 6. So first things first, you can write slope-intercept form, y is equal to mx plus b. In this case, the slope is -4 and your y-intercept is 6. So all you got to do is plug in -4 in for m and 6 in for b. And your equation in slope-intercept form is given by y is equal to -4x plus 6. So looking at the checkpoints, they want you to write an equation of the line with a given slope and y-intercept. So the slope is 8, which is m. The y-intercept is your b term, which is -5. Again, rewriting in slope-intercept form, you get y is equal to mx plus b. So putting this into slope-intercept form, you get y is equal to 8x plus -5. Adding -5 is the same thing as subtracting 5, so please use just one sign. Here we get y is equal to 8x minus 5. For number 2, you got slope of 2/3 and a y-intercept of -2. So writing this in slope-intercept form, you get y is equal to 2/3 x plus -2. Again, do simplify that. Adding the opposite of 2 is the same thing as subtracting 2, so you get y is equal to 2/3 x minus 2. For number 3, the slope is -3, the y-intercept is 7, so writing this in slope-intercept form, you get y is equal to -3x plus 7. And then for number 4, the slope is -5/2, and the y-intercept is 9. So in slope-intercept form, this becomes y is equal to -5/2 times x plus 9. Right, and moving on. Example 2, they want you to write an equation of the line shown. Here they do give us a graph, so rather than using the slope formula, you could calculate the line just by looking at the graph. For one thing, you want to identify the slope and y-intercept. The y-intercept is given by 4, so we're crossing the point 0,4. And now we can calculate the slope. This will have a negative slope. So the rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the rise is -6, and the run is 3. So your slope is -6/3, which is the same thing as -2/1, or just -2. So now rewriting this equation of the line in slope-intercept form is given by y is equal to -2x plus 4. If they didn't give you the graph, you'd have to take those 2 points, 0, 4, and then 3, -2, and put those into your slope formula. So take -2 minus 4, and then divide that by 3 minus 0. In this case, we do get -6/3, which is -2. So the slope is -2. Now we can write an equation of the line. The line crosses the y-axis at -2. So the y-intercept, or actually not -2, it's actually +4. So the y-intercept is 4. And then putting this into slope-intercept form, you are going to get the line y is equal to -2x plus 4. So here we're substituting -2 in for m, and then 4 in for b. Moving on to the checkpoints. Again, they give us the graph, so we don't have to use the slope formula. First things first, identify your b term, which is -6. The slope in this case will be positive, so the rise is 1, 2, 3 units, and then the run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. So m, your slope is 3/5. So putting this into slope-intercept form, the equation of the line becomes y is equal to 3/5 x minus 6. Moving on. Here they have a way of writing 2 points using function notation. Here it says write an equation for the linear function f with the given values. F of 0 is equal to 4 and f of 2 is equal to 12. One thing to note on this problem here is that you can put this into an xy table. If x is equal to 0, the value of y is 4. And then on f of 2 is equal to 12, the value of x is 2. Means that y is 12. Alright, and again you can write those as ordered pairs, 0, 4, and then 2, 12. Next you want to calculate the slope of the line that passes through those points, 0, 4, and 2, 12. So in this particular case you can make the point 2, 12, x2, y2. And the point 0, 4, x1, y1. Using those subscripts, you're going to get 12 minus 4 divided by 2 minus 0. 12 minus 4 is 8, and then 2 minus 0 is 2. And if you simplify this, you do get 4. So the value of the slope is 4. Next, we can write the equation of the line. We do know the line crosses the y-axis at the point 0, 4. That was because we were given the information that f of 0 is equal to 4. So that is a y-intercept. The y-intercept is 4. So writing this in slope-intercept form, the value of the slope is 4. If you see in the red right there, the y-intercept is the green 4. So in this particular case, writing this in slope-intercept form, you get y is equal to 4 times x plus 4. And then writing this in function notation, you would get f of x is equal to 4x plus 4. Moving on to the checkpoint, you got write an equation for the linear function with the values of f of 0 is equal to 3 and f of 3 is equal to 15. Again, these are just ordered pairs, so you have the ordered pair 0, 3, and then you got the ordered pair 3, 15. First things first, you calculate the slope. Again, that's given by y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And in this case, we can make 0, 3, x1, y1. And we can make 3, 15, x2, y2. And then plugging those into the slope formula, you get 15 minus 3 divided by 3 minus 0. Simplifying this, 15 minus 3 is 12. 12 divided by 3 is equal to 4. So that is your slope. The y-intercept is given by the point 0, 3. So now we can write this in slope-intercept form. Y is equal to 4x plus 3. So that does take care of section 5.1. Moving on to 5.2, which is about using linear equations in slope-intercept form. The goal here is to write an equation of a line using points on the line. And here are the steps. Step 1, identify the slope m. You can use the slope formula to calculate the slope if you know the 2 points on the line. Next, you do want to find the y-intercept. You can substitute the slope and the coordinates of a point xy into y equals mx plus b, then solve for b, or y-intercept. When you're done doing this, you can plug b back in, and the last step 3 is write an equation using y equals mx plus b. So here in example 1, they want you to write an equation given the slope and a point. Here write an equation, the line that passes to the point 1, 2, and has a slope of 3. Step 1, identify the slope. The slope is 3. Next, you want to find the y-intercept, so we can substitute the slope and the coordinates of the given point, so y equals mx plus b, and then solve for b. So in this case, plug in 2 for y, plug in 3 for m, and then plug in 1 for x. So again, those substitutions, substitute 3 in for m, 1 in for x, and then 2 in for y. Now we have to solve for b. Doing the scratch work off to the side here, 3 times 1 is 3. So now you get 2 is equal to 3 plus b. To solve for b, you can subtract 3 to both sides of your equation, and now get negative 1 is equal to b. Don't forget to do step number 3. After doing all that hard work, you do want to write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. That's given by y is equal to mx plus b. So here you'll substitute 3 in for m, and then negative 1 in for b. So the equation becomes y is equal to 3x plus negative 1. And if you simplify that, you get y is equal to 3x minus 1. Right, doing the checkpoint, write an equation of the line that passes through the point 2, 2, and as I said before, first things first, write this in slope-intercept form. Identifying the slope is 4. We're going to the point 2, 2. So plugging in the 2 in for y, that's green. And then plugging in the point 2, that's x. The slope is 4, so plug that in for m. And now you get the equation 2 is equal to 4 times 2 plus b. Simplifying this, you get 2 is equal to 8 plus b. And now you can solve for b. You can subtract 8 to both sides of your equation and get negative 6 is equal to b. Don't forget to rewrite the final equation. It's going to become y is equal to 4x plus negative 6. Again, you simplify that, you get y is equal to 4x minus 6. Sometimes they don't give you the slope, in which case they give you 2 points. So here you have to write an equation given 2 points. First things first, you got to calculate the slope between the 2 points. So in this case, they're going to make y2, 1, and x2, negative 2. So that means that 2 has got to be x1, and that negative 3 has got to be y2. Next step, you calculate the slope. So in this case, you're going to get 1 minus negative 3. And that's divided by negative 2 minus 2. And if you do simplify this, adding the opposites, the same thing as adding in this case, you get 1 plus 3. And that's divided by negative 2 minus 2, which is negative 4. So in this case, you're taking 1 plus 3, which is 4, dividing that by negative 4, and you get negative 1. Next, you do want to find the y-intercept. So here you can use the slope and the point to negative 3. So here you can substitute negative 1 in for m, plug in 2 for x, and then negative 3 in for y. Making those substitutions, you now get negative 3 is equal to negative 1 times 2 plus b. It doesn't matter what points we plug back in, all right? They chose 2, negative 3. We could have chosen negative 2, 1. The result is still going to be the same. Take negative 1 times 2, which is negative 2. Scratch work off at the side here. You get negative 3 minus 2. Oops. Negative 3 is equal to negative 2. And let me fix that. So negative 3 is equal to negative 2 plus b. Solving for b, you would add 2 to both sides of your equation. So the value of b is negative 1. All right, so you've got the slope, you've got the y-intercept. So now we have to write the slope-intercept form of the equation, substitute -1 in for m, and then plug in -1 in for b. And your equation becomes y is equal to -1 times x plus -1. And if you want to simplify that, that's the same thing as y is equal to -1 times x minus 1. All right, so moving on to the checkpoints. Here you got write an equation for the line that passes through -8, -13, and 4, 2. Step number 1, you want to find the slope. So writing out the slope formula, you get y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So in this case, I'm going to make 4, 2, x2, y2. And then -8, -13, the same thing as x1, y1. So plugging these into the slope formula, you now get 2 minus -13 divided by 4 minus -8. And then simplifying this, you now get 2 plus 13 divided by 4 plus 12, or sorry, 4 plus 8. Uh, 2 plus 13 is 15, and then 4 plus 8 is 12. You do want to simplify your slope, so 3 goes into 15 5 times, and then 3 goes into 12 4 times. So in simplified form, the slope is 5/4. Next, you have to calculate the b term of y-intercept. So you know that y is equal to mx plus b. Doesn't matter what 2 points you choose to plug in for x and y. In this case, I'm going to select 4, 2, since those are easier to work with as opposed to -8 or -13. Plug in 2 for y, plug in 5/4 in for m, and then plug in 4 for x, and then solve for b. 5/4 times 4 is 5. You get 2 is equal to 5 plus b. Subtract 5 to both sides, and the value of b is -3. Don't forget to plug in your slope, which is 5/4, and your b term, which is -3, back in the original slope-intercept form. So now we get y is equal to 5/4 x plus -3, or minus 3, and there's your answer. Moving on to the last one. Here you got write an equation for the line that passes through -3, 4, and 1, -2. Again, you got to use the slope formula, so let's make this x1, this one y1, and this one x2, and this one y2. Plugging these into the slope formula, m is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So y2 is -2 minus y1, which is 4, and that's divided by x2, which is 1, minus x1, which is -3. -2 minus 4 is -6. 1 minus the opposite of 3 is 1 plus 3, which is 4. And simplifying that, 2 goes into -6, -3 times, and then 2 goes into 4 twice. So m is equal to -3/2. So there's your slope. Next step, you got to calculate b, or y-intercept. So we know that in slope-intercept form, y is equal to mx plus b. So plug in -3/2 in for m. And it doesn't matter what you choose for a point. Let's choose 1, -2. So -2 is equal to y. And then x is equal to 1. And then solve for b. So in this case, 1 times -3/2 is -3/2. You get -2 is equal to -3/2 plus b. And then now you got to solve this by adding 3/2 to both sides of your equation to get b, or y-intercept, by itself. -2 plus 3/2 is -1/2. So there is the value of b. Again, you want to write this in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Here we know that the slope, m, is -3/2, and that your y-intercept is the b term, which is -1/2. So in slope-intercept form, this becomes y is equal to -3 halves x minus 1/2. So just to summarize, how to write equations in slope-intercept form. If you're given slope m and the y-intercept b, all you have to do is substitute m in and b in the equation. Y equals mx plus b. That's the easiest case. Or I should say, for number 2, if you're given this criteria, given the slope m at 1 point, here you do have to solve for the y-intercept, so substitute m and the coordinates of the point in y equals mx plus b. Here we solve for b, and then write the equation in slope-intercept form. And then case 3, this is the most difficult case. When you're given 2 points, this one requires more steps. Here you got to use the points to find slope m. Then you want to substitute m and the coordinates of 1 point. Again, it doesn't matter which point. In slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. You then solve for b, and once that's solved, you do write the equation in slope-intercept form.